So, why are we here? Do we need a mic or not? Or can I just shout?
So you'll be
Shit, one there. Sweet! Alright, start again. Why are we here? Well, both myself and Dan are neurodiverse. We thought we'd put together a talk, bring it in, and generally tell you how we learnt to love our superpowers. There's a couple... So we caveat now? No, we'll caveat later. Cool. So, over to you, Dan.
So, we're going to cover off a couple of different things. We're going to start off with who we are, why we're here, what we've done, a bit about our career, and then we're going to go into a couple of situations where we use what we're classifying as superpowers, things that we classify and put towards our neurodiversity. So, we'll go through them. We'll also get towards some advice towards the end, for everything from yourself to allyship and different bits there. So, I'm Dan Walters. I work for Dharma. I'm a security consultant. I deal with financial clients, military clients, and aviation clients. I specialise in specialise in incident response and incident management, but also do a lot of auditing and attack service management assessments and everything in between.
Yeah. Cool. And I'm Ben. People know me by various things. Ben, Paro, Brick, that weird guy from the north. Those that know me, yay. Those that don't, yeah, you now know me. I currently work at Dharma. I've worked at quite a few MSPs and MSSPs, so managed service providers, managed security service providers. I'm a security engineer and specialist and an engineer by heart, never mind trade. I have been on to Technowomble, the guy that's walking around with a wheelbarrow around a local industrial estate, acquiring stuff from trash and all that, then building stuff with it. That's me. Other than that, InfoSec BattleBots, that was me if you went to the bots upstairs. And if you've ever been B-Sides Newcastle, that's something I founded and worked with as well. So yeah, it's quite cool. Experience-wise, cut me out, I believe blue. I'm a Microsoft one, sorry. Engineering leadership, parachute engineering, throw me into a problem. I'm the guy that you throw at the tire fire. And I love being that. So yeah, cool, right. On the next one. So, a little bit about me. I started off in support, help desks, scrambled over to training departments for MSSP, moved to managing a help desk. Wasn't ready for leadership right then. Moved over to being a consultant, worked with a load of MSPs, moved to be a parachute engineer, the guy you throw at fires, and then made a slightly different move for a lot of people. I moved from being a consultant to being an engineer, because that's where my heart was. I'm an engineer by heart, as I've said. I've been a lead engineer for ISPs, been built engineering teams, been head of engineering, all that kind of stuff. At the moment, I'm a engineering specialist, mainly focused on Sentinel and things like that. It's fun. I tend to just work on what I can do to automate, what I can do to help make everyone's life better. And depending on day, I either love or hate ASIM. After yesterday, it's hate ASIM today. But it'll be love tomorrow. Dan?
So a little bit about myself. So I started in the SOC. I took more of a response route than Ben. So I started in the SOC, multi-tenancy SOC, worked with 30, 40 clients, became a senior SOC analyst, and then I moved to lead SOC analyst. So I became head of incident response for a financial client, and I have been there for quite a while now. So I do everything in between, from the day-to-day BAU to the house is burning. I mean, we were just upstairs, and I've spent the last hour and a half on an incident call. So yeah, it can happen at any moment, as that was just proven. So I'm now a consultant. I consult on solution architectures and process building and everything in between as well. It does change considerably even from when I moved from a SOC response to now consultancy, but it was the right move, and I do a lot more people contact, which is where I find myself enjoying it a lot more. So we didn't want to assume that everybody knew what neurodiversity was. We've done this talk in our... it's in the box. So we did this talk at our work recently, and we found out that everybody knew what neurodiverse was. So neurodiversity can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but nice image, like this one. And found out when we were researching for this talk, it tries to encompass where different neurodiversities can have crossovers. So neurodiversity was a term that was coined in the 1990s, and it basically relates to people who might process things in a slightly different way and interpret information in different ways. So there's crossovers in many different sections. We'll go over that in a little bit more detail in a second of where we sit on this nice little pretty chart. Because depending on the day, you feel like it can move with where you're struggling or where you're succeeding, where you're thriving. So we wanted to pull on why are we here to do this talk and not doing it somewhere else. So the general population, we believe there's 15%. I say not we. Statistics. I didn't do the research. Whereas in cyber, for an industry, we have a 21%, so significantly higher. Worth investing, worth looking at, worth seeing why we can support people in the industry. So I'm dyslexic, quite heavily dyslexic. I was fortunate enough to. We are trying out, yeah. I was quite fortunate enough that I discovered my dyslexia very early on in my time at school. So I was picked up in primary school, and I was the guinea pig for many things that are still here and things that aren't here anymore, and got to test lots of tools. So my key skills are in planning, logistics, and management, so planning ahead and finding the solution before we hit the problem, but also problem solving when we don't plan for that problem. Imagination's a really big thing for me, so taking a situation, being able to build it up in my head and manipulate a situation around it to think of the outcomes, or in different simulations to get the outcome before we have to put pen to paper or start running a different license. Yeah, Ben?
Similar kind of thing, but I'm dyslexic, dyspraxia, ADHD, and there's a few other things thrown in there, which if you want, you can try guess a tricks, woo! But we're not going to do that now. My superpower is really, it's the thinking side, it's critical thinking side, it's being able to adjust which type of thinking I apply to which situation, essentially fluidly. Similar as Dan said, having the ability to spin up tests, to spin up demos in my head, that kind of stuff, which is something a lot of neurodivergent people take advantage of it, use it. Hyperfocus, sometimes can be a pain, sometimes rabbit hole, sometimes several days later, but if you use it properly, it can be really useful. You can have super delivery days. Problem solving, as Dan said, it's something I love, ties in with critical thinking. As you can guess, resilient, critical thinking, more things. But as you can guess, energetic. Yes, this is me I have been awake since 6 o'clock this morning. This is me tired. This is me slowed down. As a lot of people here who know me will attest. I am the bouncing off the wall guy. I am the everything goes to... I see laughter in the crowd, yes. I'm the everything goes to shit, who's the guy that smiles? Me! And high EQ. One thing that I've really found helpful with managing a team, with helping run people, with working with a lot of people, the high EQ lets me essentially put myself in their place, work with a lot of varying ones, and normally get through things quite well. All right, so we want to put a little disclaimer in here. So these are our experiences, what we've been through, things that have worked for us. Don't generalize them. If you don't see yourself on this list and these things, I don't do that, doesn't mean you're not neurodivergent, just means that it's different, where we are different neurodivergents. There's lots of them. Everyone's neurodivergent in my head. So may not apply to you, but it's things that have worked for us. All right. Planning! Yay. A few things I like to live by. Plan the work the plan. I'd like to break things down, get the tasks there, and then tie myself to that plan. Give myself due dates, give myself things that mean that I have to do it to that time. I will jump off to a different project. That's interesting, I'm going to go off and do that. That's interesting, I'm going to go off and do that. I have to plan my work, put the plan in place, and decide what days I'm doing things beforehand. Otherwise, I just won't get it done. Another one that I've teased off the army, the 7 Ps of planning, or different numbers, various words, prior planning prevents piss poor performance. I like to plan for everything. I like to think about the worst ways that things go. I like to spend time really just kind of seeing how things can go bad. And the most important thing if you're an engineer, if you didn't document it, you did not do it. Document things. It stops you doing things hundreds of times. There's work that I've done over and over again because I didn't sit down and document my workflow, document how I did, document my procedure, and kind of bring that in. What you done?
Thank you very much. So, for me, planning comes down to getting it on paper, getting a process built, getting all the documentation done, so everybody from a SOC analyst to a client CISO can understand where we are on a nice pretty chart and say we're in the red zone, we're in the green zone, we're in the blue zone. And we can see it all the way through the phases. So, flowcharts is my bread and butter. I spend too much money on softwares for it. Draw.io tends to be where most of them go because it's where I can send most things to other people to edit. But flowcharts for me are everything. They control most processes, most responses that I plan, whether it be a playbook and it's high level, or we're going down for an integration solution developments, we do low level, go down to what commands we're running, what systems, what devices, and procedures. Slightly touching on that, flowcharts are normally in my procedures, but processes, procedures, anything that can be built out that can give more visibility can mean that anybody can lead a situation, can lead response, can take control of the situation, and have all the support they need and everything there. Planning ahead for that outcome and what we plan to encounter really helps. One of the things that does really help with this for me is tasking. Moving on to the next slide. See a nice transition. So tasking is a big part of how I deal with my neurodiversity. Like Ben said, distraction can be a bit of a kick in the teeth sometimes. So if I can get things down on a piece of paper, for me, it's not a piece of paper, it's Microsoft Planner, and breaking it down into smaller tasks and being able to have a view over what I'm trying to accomplish. So taking a big situation of implementing a solution or building out a process, building out the first section, the second section, third section, rather than having one huge task. It's now 30 tasks, and that little bit of dopamine I get from each little tick in a box, it really helps. But it also helps with one of the biggest issues I had at the beginning of my career, which was avoiding attachment. I used to have a really bad issue with given a project, I would try and start it, and I would want to leave that thing right till the end, till it was implemented, till it ended, and treat it like a baby almost. Like that was my solution. And unfortunately, I say unfortunately, but it's very fortunate. It really helped my mental health towards the end of it. Being able to cut that lead and say, right, this is where the responsibility starts on me, and this is where the responsibility starts on you. Right, I'm handing you the reins to this project now, and finding out where that line in the sand is helped me pass over and be able to switch off. I used to work weekends, holidays. I used to take holidays to then do work. It just doesn't really help. So being able to avoid that attachment and see it on paper and go, okay, right, at 5 o'clock, I know I've achieved this, or that job can go till Monday. I know that's going to take me 3 hours. And seeing it ahead of time, being able to know, I'm not going to meet this target, make the relevant party aware you're not going to meet this target, and adapt onto yourself.
Yeah. I've got one or two guys to that, but it's pretty much a rehash of what we said in the previous one. Due dates for all the things. I like breaking things down to tasks. The reason DevOps is there, because I prefer DevOps to Planner. We both like Microsoft things, so odd. I like DevOps, break tasks down, give tasks time frames, give them the structure, give them not just the story of what you want to do, but the actual tasks, break things down into the ability to complete them, make them things that you can accomplish in a couple of days. If I have a task that's going to take us 3 days to complete, I will not get it done. I will procrastinate. I will avoid it. I will do that. You take that exact same task, split it down into 6 half-day items, bang, 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 bang. I'll get them all through. It's all for me about that dopamine hit, and if I don't get it within a relatively small time, I don't find myself being able to push into it, and it just affects me quite a bit. Into adapting. Didn't do as good of a transition for that as Dan, but hey. So, adapting. Something that I like to think I'm quite good at. It's something that is one of the things that I do a lot. Main things on that. It's okay not to know. Even if you're in a client call, even if the customer's crying, even if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and their entire environment's pwned, if they ask you a question and you don't know it, don't just bullshit. Actually go like, alright, yeah, it's okay. I don't know. It's alright. That was something that I had a hell of a lot of a hard time to get over it. I don't know it. Great. I've got to now go and read white papers till I do know it, then get back. No. I have a team. I have other people. Use them. Other than that, analyze problems. When I'm adapting to something, I will break it down into its component parts. Get a bit of pen and paper out. What things are involved with it? Who's the responsible parties? What do I need to do? How do I need to change? How do I need to do that? Map it all out and then start building your solution. In line with that, MVP then evolve. Once you've built a solution, yeah, great. That solution, it works for it. Great. So evolve it. You want to push that into prod? What do you need to do? What monitoring do you need? What do you need to wrap around it? And it's all about just adapting to, all right, here's the next problem. Here's the next problem. Here's the next problem. Kind of fits into flow deviations.
Yeah, so, like I said, wall there. Pointy wall. So, flow deviations is one of the things that comes up a lot for me. Like I say, flowcharts are my bread and butter. They are everything for what I do in a day-to-day. So, people always think you need to account for everything and anything, which is what we try and do, but you need to be able to deviate, take a step to the side. I know from instant response, we do need to... We'll sound really close. So
tangents.
Tangents. Trying to adapt the situation to step away from what we're achieving and re-link back in. We're trying to reach the same goal no matter what. If we need to take a different step or take a different path, being able to plan ahead for them really helps to adapt. Worst case planning is something that a lot of my clients rely on, is going, but if you're going to do that in 6 months' time, you're going to have this issue. And playing devil's advocate is something that people hate you for, but they ultimately rely on you for, because being able to come with that outcome and say, I know a client who's had this, or I know if you do that, you're going to have this issue. And if you've got funding issues now, in 6 months' time, when you need to grow that service, you're going to have a bigger funding issue. That was really what I wanted to touch on in this one. One of the last points we wanted to give situations on was communication. Again, so it's the transition.
Me this time.
Agenda meetings. So for myself, planning is a big point, and me being able to deliver what I need to deliver in that call and making sure that I leave that call feeling like I've accomplished what I needed to accomplish. Easiest thing for me to do that is tell me what you need from me. Tell me what you want the outcome of this meeting to be. Do you want me to tell you the problem you're having? Give me the problem before the call, and I'll explain it to you. I'll bring solutions. I'll give you ideas. I'll give you drawings. I'll give you everything I can in between in that, whether it be the 5-minute meeting prep you give me or the 2 days. I'll come to it prepared. If you don't give me, I'm going in blind, and I can't give you an outcome in the same call possibly. It's much quicker for me to be able to plan it, present it. Here's what I've got. What's the next step? Do you want to proceed with this? Do we want to take it back? Do we want to go back to the drawing board? And analogies. I work with a lot of not technically managed people. Technically minded. There we go. Tongue twister. No, it's not. Caveat. And making analogies to make very technical terms not technical really helps. Baking a cake, building a house. Using these things for deploying something, building something. We've hit this issue. You've lost the Lego piece you needed. Or being able to put it into a visual cue for something that for technical people that can't understand. Being able to do that really helps get them on your side and understand where is your pain point, where is the issue you're hitting.
Yeah, cool. And to tie into that, when you're making analogies, when you're doing that kind of stuff, it's really important to be watching. Majority of time, Teams meetings. I like people who have cameras on. Meetings without cameras annoy me to a deep level, put it that way. But yeah, they have to, if you've got the cameras on, you can sit there, you can watch, you can say, all right, that person get distracted, that person doesn't understand the way I've explained it. And feedback, change it, flip what you're looking at, pick a different one. You've tried to explain it based as a cake, the person doesn't do baking. Let's try mechanic, let's do a bridge build, let's do whatever, have lots of different ways of doing it. But it's important to clarify them. As I said, visual cues and the clarification on that. In line with that is the summarizing communications. I like to do a wrap-up at the end of a call. As you've guessed from this, and people who know me, a call with me sometimes requires a lie down afterwards. They can be intense. I've been told that. The person was in the people team as well, so I've got to believe that. But yeah, it's wrap up the communications. End of the meeting, I take a couple of minutes to say, all right, this is what I'm going to do. This is what you're going to do. This is what we're going to do together. These are the outcomes. These are the actions. This is the time frame. Giving that wrap-up communication in the end, and then followed up with a quick email if it's that important, or a quick Teams message if it's not as important. That's something that I do a lot. Having that wrap-up helps with my clarity, and it helps with the rest of my team. It helps to bring that clarity, and clarity is what makes things simpler for me, generally. Yeah. Right. We're going to move on to a little bit of advice for people, allies, and businesses here. But again, these are examples. These are things that work for us. These are solutions that we've had. These are things that we've been through. They may not apply to everyone. If these don't apply to you, I'm not saying you're not neurodiverse. Got to be super clear on that point. It's just our experiences, our feelings, that kind of stuff. So, our advice, if you're neurodiverse or think you're neurodiverse, I'm going to start with the top one there. Don't mask. I spent a lot of time in my early career, consultancy, that kind of stuff, masking, pretending I wasn't the person I am. Slowly judge over. Yeah, pretending I wasn't the person I am, fitting in to do what needs to be done. Spending because I couldn't do reports, spend till 3 o'clock in the morning writing a report that someone else would take an hour. I've spent 6 hours doing it because I cannot. I've probably done it and deleted it 3 times. I mean, it's that kind of stuff. Don't mask yourself. Be honest with who you are and be honest with if you feel happy, your employer around it, because you can make arrangements, you can work things with it. Ties into that, know yourself, be yourself. I'm a big one for diagnosis. I was diagnosed relatively early with a lot of things, uni, so that kind of thing. And then I went for a later adult diagnosis for the ADHD and a few other things, just to get things clarified. I think that's really important. Not saying, go, fill yourself with drugs. No. Just understand what's happening with you. Understand how other people have worked with it and what else you can share. Well, it's like B-Sides community. We all stand on each other's shoulders. It's kind of quite important for that. Yeah.
So I want to touch on capitalising on your strengths. So knowing what you really shine at, knowing where you can stand above the rest, really, and capitalising on it and working with everybody else. You can close enough in.
Yeah.
And be able to work with your skills and not work against them. It does come down to that. Don't mask it and be able to say, right, I like, for instance, dyslexia. Report writing is the bane of my life. I don't love it. I don't hate it, but don't love it. But I know people can't build graphs, can't work with data, can't work with them sort of things. To me, I could do it in my head and visualize it and go, that doesn't look right, or that doesn't work. So working as a team, being able to communicate with other people who have other struggles and be able to I've achieved my outcome, you've achieved your outcome. What's the difference? In a minute, I'm going to touch on a document that really helps capitalize on your strengths. Yeah. And embrace your differences. It is. Just because I'm struggling doesn't mean that you should struggle, or being able to say, I know what I'm going to struggle with. Tell people, say, I'm going to need support here, whether it be to someone who's working with you in a project. Can I take that task because I know that's where my main strengths are going to be, or talking to your people team, and we'll get onto that in a little bit.
Yeah. Cool. Right, bit of advice for allies. Alright, this was a difficult slide to... I know, I stumble about when I talk. This is a bit of a difficult slide for me to put together. For me, it boils down to, does neurotypical even exist? Everyone is a result of the changes, both genetics and their growth. Everyone's a result of that. No one person is going to be 100% identical to another person. So if that's the case, then how does neurotypical exist? It's a bell curve. Embracing that side is the first thing that I'd say for allyship. It's embracing that we're all different. I'm going to put that, is my blue your blue? I'm looking at that blue right there. I see a specific shade. How do I know that you see it, or that you see it, or that you see it, or you see it? How do I know that we all see it as the same? We don't. Embracing the fact that we're different and we're all different inside is really what brings an ally, really. What does allyship look like? I mean, we'll get into it in the business side a little bit more, that side, but sounds corny, but it's been that. It's being able to, alright, you don't work best with this. Maybe I'll help you out with this, I'll help you out with that. Alright, well, how can we work together? How can we work to make a better situation for everyone? How can we work so that everything is more fluid? That, to me, is what allyship kind of looks like. I explained it far better with the image that I found than I've managed to do in those words. But everyone is different. Everyone has their own freaky brains. I'm probably sitting there with a squiggly one or something like that. There'll be robots in there somewhere. But yeah, that's what it looks like to me. Right. A one that we're running a little bit close on time, so I'm just going to skim this one.
We're on a good pace.
We're on a good pace. Actually,
better than every test run we've done, but keep going.
It's all right. We'll tangent for a few more minutes.
It's right. We'll fill the day. Don't worry.
Should we make it late? Yeah. Cool. Spoons. If you don't know about spoons, have a look at the QR code, have a read up about it. I'm not going to spend my time going into talking about it now, but in short, it removes the stigma of conversations over mental health, over the drain that things give in a day-to-day basis. If you think of it as you start your day with a drawer full of spoons, every single act that you do takes a certain amount of effort, a certain amount of spoons, and when you've got to the end of that, you don't have any more reserve to pull on. So understanding that and understanding how much tool's the wrong word, but what tool each task takes upon you is quite important, and spoons give you a way to talk to your people team, the rest of your team, your friends, your family, whatever, about it in a bit of an easier to understand way. So I'd encourage everyone to have a bit of a look and a check in on that.
On to me. So I want to touch on employers. So I've been working with my people team recently to help build out some of the tool set that we provide. So I've been looking around many things, but I've also been fortunate to use a lot of these at universities. We had a lot of systems and schemes where you could get free trial licenses. So I know what works for me. I'd recommend going out there and seeing what works for yourself. But for me, when employers ask what tools you need, it is really good to be asking the question rather than googling what is the best thing, what is the most popular one out there. It is a case of asking what do you need, where's support, what have you used in the past that really helps. For me, it was Grammarly. I will also start this slide with we're not associated with anybody.
Not associated with any of those.
They're just ones that I use from day to day. But investigate toolings. There's so many different tools out there. Some to help focus, like FocusMate, which is where you talk to another human and you try and achieve a goal together. Mental health, spell checkers to give you some more reassurance from other things other than just Microsoft Word, but also planning ahead and helping. How can you, for someone who might not be able to get pen on paper and break things down, use toolings that can help do that with you. And there's also Dragon up there, which I didn't put dictation on there, but I used to use a lot of dictation at university. Because by the time that I got pen to paper, I'd forgotten the thought. And yeah, it didn't help. But we wanted to talk about how neurodiverse employees can talk to their employer. And we wanted to talk about, because one of the things that was raised when we talked about it was how can people feel comfortable about raising it, whether it be to their manager or to their employer as a whole, so whether it be the HR, people team, whatever anybody calls it these days. So we were given the information of record it during the onboarding process. So ask the question rather than people feeling the need to say, I'm really struggling, this is why I'm struggling, give an objective question about it. Ask them, do you have anything else you want to add? Is there anything we can support you with? But also make adjustments readily available.
Yeah.
It was rather than saying, I need a tool, right, we're going to take 6 to 8 months to go away and find a tool that works, we're going to send it through Risk, we're going to send it through the procurement team, and all these things in between. Having a tool ready, so when someone asks the questions in 24 hours, we can have that on your system, and we can give you that support when we get going. As soon as you ask, we can deliver. 3 documents. Would really recommend giving some of these a read. I put 3 up for each for different reasons. The middle one's a personal favourite one of mine. I've recently discovered this. It's a Deloitte review into Diversity and Inclusion Revolution, the 8 Powerful Truths. I will say it also gives you some really good ammunition if you really want to say why neurodiversity is a superpower in itself. For instance, it talks about how different percentages, so for instance, having a diverse workforce can lower your risk by 20%, and being able to predict and see outcomes before they happen. And also, I said I was going to talk about strengths. This one here by University College London talks about the strengths of different neurodiversities. So ADHD gives you key characteristics that employers look for. So rather than saying, I'm neurodiverse, and sometimes it comes with a baggage. So dyslexia, for instance, comes with a baggage of, you're not going to be able to spell that, you're going to make this mistake, you're going to make that, you're going to drop the ball here and there. Going in with actually, I've got this strength here, and being able to change that narrative around when you're delivering it, whether it be on your CV, a review, an interview, and saying, what are the strengths, and back it up with, I've got neurodiversity, so this is actually a strength of that. And my brain's built for that. So the closing thoughts that we're going to get into now, and there's a couple after this, so don't worry. But again, we're just going to close it out with another, what's the word we're using?
Caveat, warning,
disclaimer. Disclaimer's the word. I was going to use the word caveat. Another disclaimer of, again, these are all our thoughts, our beliefs. We don't want anybody to feel left out of being neurodiverse because they don't sit somewhere on it.
Yeah, cool. And I like to finish all my talks with a quote. It's something that I like adding, and picked one from Tim Berners-Lee. Kind of fits really well. We need diversity of thought in the world to face new challenges. And if there was any industry that applied to perfectly, it's the cybersecurity industry. We need that diversity of thought because there is diversity of thought in the attackers. There's diversity of thought in the people that are going against us, so we need to embrace that. The only way that we will overcome the new challenges ahead of us is to embrace them, is to embrace people who can help us with them and embrace us all as being able to think in slightly different ways that all complement each other, that all help each other. And I think that just summarises it. We need diversity of thought in the world to face any challenges. That's it, really. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. Right. That was our main talk finished.
1 minute left.
1 minute 57 seconds. The first time we have ever managed to get that in time. Thank you. So yeah, we've put our contact details up there. QR codes up for LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to us. But yeah, is there any questions?
I will add, I'm on holiday in a week, so my replies might be slow.
So
Yeah, and
I've got questions. I'll come to you with the microphone. Just very quickly, I will say you mentioned stepping to the left at some point in your presentation. Thank you so literally living to that goal during the film.
It's my right, though. That's left. That's left. This isn't left. That's not left.
You corrected it by going left.
Well, I was like there. We're just standing here, basically.
Hey, listen.
Sorry.
So you guys both mentioned about trying to set a timescale for things before you start.
Yeah.
How do you go about doing that when you don't know how long something is going to take? If it's something you've not really done before.
If it's something that I haven't done before and that's relatively small, so I can task it down, then I'll generally reach out to the community, speak to my friends, speak to other people in in my company, in my industry. How long does it take to do this? Have you done this in the past? That kind of thing, and get a rough guide. I always Scotty it. I always add myself bit time, and my due dates are dates. They're not specific times. So I know that I need to get XYZ task done by the end of Thursday, by the end of Friday. Otherwise, because the delivery meeting is on the Monday, and I need to have time just in case there's any changes. So putting that kind of stuff in. Also, if you talk about really big pieces of work, pass them down. I cannot capacity plan in my head for how to run up a full how to run up a full Sentinel instance.
So you do it every day.
Exactly. But hey, I in theory need to break that down to smaller tasks. What do you do? How do you do the analytics? How do you do the role? How do you do the onboarding? How do you do source? How do you do that? And break it into things that I know and I can estimate on. I can put estimate values. They're not. If I break one of my own SLAs, it's not the end of the world because it's probably a day before I actually have to hand it in. So there's a lot of like little works around that I try to put together. Dan, do you want to?
I would just jump back on the breaking it down into smaller parts. If you've done part of it before, if you've not done any of it, so if you've done a bit of it, you can estimate the start and the end. Maybe you know the presentation, or you know the creating the plan possibly, but it's the bit in between, the meaty bit. Finding people who have done it in the past, finding people who can mentor you through that process. Because if you haven't done it before, you're going to need someone to check it at the end of the day anyway. But it is also that accounting for the time that you might not need. If you deliver early, better. It's better than if you give a timescale and you deliver earlier than that timescale, better than delivering after it. So give yourself a bit of leeway. Yeah. And I promise you, sometimes if you don't know what it is, there's a possibility that I know when I deliver something to a client, there's a possibility that they don't know what the timescale is either. So if I say 30 days, it's 30 days.
There's the possibility you don't know what the product is either, but hey. Any more questions? Yeah. There's two here. And one over there.
This is good. I like questions.
Thank you.
So, for people who feel that they are neurodiverse, PhD, for example, if they don't have a diagnosis, do you have any advice for how they can get employed by an employer?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a difficult one because a lot of standard like employer assistance and health plans and that don't cover mental health. Speak to your employer. Normally, when you let them know this, if they're a halfway decent employer, they'll go, oh, poop, we need to cover that. And they get something in to cover it. But yeah, I have been in situations where I've had no one to reach out to, I've had nothing to do. And in that situation, it's the community. It's this, it's B-sides, it's things like that. It's reaching out to community, it's talking to people, it's having someone who knows cyber who I can just unload my brain to, who's just going to ignore everything I say and just be like, yeah, smile, nod. That's the kind of thing that helps me through, basically. Yeah. Sorry, I tangented a bit on that question, but you get it. Oh, dude, yeah.
So you stay in the middle.
Stay in the middle. You're in the middle. Oh, no, wait a minute.
You call me big.
Pass.
My name is Aidan. I'm senior lecturer and program leader for the Assistant Skills in Digital Forensics. My question is really about our students, and we're trying to get to advice to our educators. How do we approach studies of our students in our programs? And you mentioned a few times small tasks.
Yeah.
So I want to also ask, what would be your advice on our assessments?
Oh, I'll take this one.
You take that one.
So I went
recent uni one, so I'll let Dan answer this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I went to University of Plymouth, just around the corner. Yeah, I knew that was coming. So I was at university 5 years ago now, so peak of COVID. I finished. So I got the stable students allowance, did my full assessment, did all them sort of things. For me, it is a daunting thing. It's number one, it's the starting of it. It's I know it's there. It's haunting me, and that's a big piece of work. I know, but also I remember. I mean, one of the pieces of work was a mastermind game, and I did that in 6 hours, and that was a semester piece of work, to code in Python. And so it is each end of the spectrum of saying this bit's really easy. Once you got that ball starts rolling, it's the thing. So for me, it was always having the time to go, right, do you just need the jump off? Do you need how can we light the fuse and get this thing rolling? Again, another analogy. How can we get you to understand, okay, you've got a deadline, you've got a due date that you need to reach. Let's get that information coming and going and going. And once you hit that problem, where am I going to? And it is building that environment and community of there is no stupid question. I think especially I work with a lot of operation centres, whether it be assessing them or working with our own operation centres and saying what questions do you have, like what do you think the weak points are here, and coming with that, breaking things down into smaller tasks. At university, I used to use sticky notes. I didn't use any. I used to use Trello for a bit. Trello was a big one, but yeah, it was free.
It works.
Trello was one that I used, and it's a bit of a skill in itself, learning how to break a big thing down into smaller parts and learning where they connect. So whether it be doing some sort of training or communication in how you can minimize tasks, because that little bit of dopamine gets you through that 2 a.m. Or I want to close off. I want to close off 6 objectives today. I've got 10 days, so 6 objectives, 10 a day, I'll meet my goal. And having that little tick in your head of, right, I need to get this, I need to do that, rather than it being 1, it's 30. And it's a lot easier to kick one off the door each time. One off the door isn't an analogy, it doesn't make sense.
Can I add into that a bit?
Go for it.
So from I went through uni, ADHD and all of that kind of stuff. I got helpy stuff, laptops and all that crap. I've lost where I was going.
You asked me.
Yeah. So what is the passing down, the breaking down of tasks, that kind of stuff? I sat with one of my. I got assigned one of my lecturers as a mentor, and we sat on a weekly basis and broke down what I need to do, broke down what I need to complete by the end of this week. Very much what I've taken up with my team. I do stand-ups, I do that kind of stuff, I do catch-ups in the morning, I do end-of-week reviews, I do all of that kind of stuff. That structure in place really helps me with my larger projects. It's something that I learnt when I was in uni and I still apply to this day. I had a really good lecturer who, unfortunately, is no longer with us, but yeah, he really taught me how to engineer problems, how to think things through and how to plan things properly. That's really that mentorship, and I think Dan mentioned it, spending the time face-to-face, one-to-one.
It's valuable.
I'm someone that needs one-to-one. If you say, go off, do this task, here's the instructions, it'll take me days. And that'll be 90% starting anxiety. I won't start it because I don't know how to do it. If I get someone who spends 5 minutes showing me how to do it, this is what I do, all right, I'll do the task like that, I'll do the task like that, I can repeat it forever from there. It's trying to cater towards everyone, really. So it's given that little bit of structure, and as I said, the structure is what helped me the most. Cool. Do you have a question here? Sorry.
It's just, have you, when you've gone into employers and that kind of thing, have they been accepting of these issues? And if they haven't, how have you overcome that?
Make them.
As the one that's bounced around the most, I mean, Dan's worked for Adana for his entire career. I bounce around. I spend a year, 2 years, 6 months, that kind of stuff here. I pick a company based on their acceptance. Right. I pick a company based on when I was going through the first meeting with the people team, first meeting with whatever, first interview, I'd say, right, I'm neurodiverse. What have you got for that? What do you do? What is currently readily available? What do other people use? What's there? And find out a little bit about it. I very much pick my companies on that. It's something that the reason I dropped out from being a consultant and went back to engineering is I was at a company there where I couldn't discuss it, where it wasn't something the people team was happy with, where that wasn't good. And to move over to somewhere where I then was a massive change. I still plan on basing any job moves going forward. Not solely, but majority on how they handle neurodiversity, how they want to work with me to apply things better. That's a really key thing to me.
I would also add that it isn't for employers now. It isn't a case of we're just doing it to help people in that sense. Of course, that's obviously the end goal. But I know certain suppliers or certain companies that won't work. So, for instance, there could be I don't know.
Don't know names.
I know. Well, there could be a phone brand, for instance, and they might not work with another supplier if they don't have a diversity program, if they don't have support in place. These are key things that when procuring other services, companies ask for now. They want to make sure that they're not employing or getting a service from a company that doesn't support companies, and they want to ensure that these services are in place for that exact reason, because as an employee, you are a number in some way, so if they can leverage it with the financial bit as well, they're helping you in that way.
Got time for one more question, and then
Okay. If anyone has questions that didn't get asked, feel free to ping us an email.
You talked about unmasking, and I wanted to ask, can that be challenging both for a person who's neurodiverse and for the more neurotypical people?
Yeah, masking is something that both neurodiverse and neurotypical people do. I used it as a survival strategy. That's where it gets painful. The masking side, it gets back to the spoons one. It's the amount of effort I put in to try and make myself be like everyone else absolutely burnt me. It led to burnouts. It led to an emotional breakdown at one point. It led to some pretty huge stuff. So yeah, the masking side, yeah, if I'm in front of a customer, I'll put on my posh voice. I'll not swear every second. I don't really see that mask. See that as changing a little bit. What I'm talking about is, right, I will be able to do a report, same as them. I'll be able to do that, and then I'll keep myself up till 3 a.m. I'll work all the way through the night to do it. I'll do all of that. I'll do all that because I should be the same as them. I should be able to do that. Now, embracing myself, embracing who I was the key to really, sounds cliche, but my happiness.